First of all, great to be here today. I was really happy when I came in and saw those first slides from Matt. Where is Matt? Not sure if he's here. Might not be here. Because he talked about integration. And that's what I'm going to spend some time talking about today, because we believe it's actually really important and a really important topic. And we're just going to get down a little bit more detail and take it a layer lower and just share some of our experiences today. I loved hearing the panel earlier with some of the thoughts from Sam about the need for solutions. Totally agree. And the conversation around, is voice dead? Yeah, voice as we've known it is one thing. Voice as an interface for compute, it's worth paying attention to. We're going to spend some time talking about that a bit today. And Brian, 100% agree with your perspective on the change that is about to happen in our industry that AI is going to drive. And I wanted to share a few observations that hopefully will help everybody understand that a bit better. I don't like to exaggerate. I don't use hyperbole much. But I'm convinced it's actually going to be a tremendous transformation. I would argue bigger than the move to the cloud for our industry. And so I'm going to take some time to talk through that. So I'll share a few lessons we've learned. I'm calling it an infrastructure problem that we've encountered as we look to integrate. Probably not the right word. Maybe you call it a platform problem. But when you actually go to integrate some of these different applications, you realize it's really hard. We're going to talk a little bit about that today. First observation is, with the move to the cloud, a lot of enterprises have been very focused on picking the right application. And our experience, to talk a little bit about it, is that's actually created a problem where by focusing on the application first, they didn't think about building the right enabling infrastructure to help them for the future. I'm going to put some context around my talk. We've been very focused on what we call the Global 2000 enterprise. These are large enterprises. This is not the SME. These are large global firms, and talking about their communication stacks. Sorry, got to keep my slides in sync here. So who's bandwidth? Around 2 years ago, we launched our Maestro platform. Don't worry, it's not a sales pitch, just setting the context. We brought voice services, voice emergency, have messaging, wrapped APIs around it, and really focused on a lot of integrations. We're not alone. A lot of people here in this room have done that as well. Focused on the best-in-class CCaaS integrations, UCaaS integrations, conversational AI platforms we integrated, trust systems that we built in, emergency services that we integrated. We wanted to differentiate on the number of integrations that we brought together. And it's been successful when you bring those together. It's resonated with enterprises, but it didn't resonate for the reasons we expected. I thought that pitch of being able to integrate would be interesting to the enterprise, but it usually was not at their forefront. It was usually an afterthought. And what we found was a lot of enterprises were already on their journey to the cloud. They cared a lot about their applications, and they hit a roadblock when they went to integrate. When they were trying to enable a best-of-breed customer experience, the IT teams found they'd hit a wall with their applications they'd picked. When they were all implemented and migrated, and they now cared about resiliency and redundancy, they hit a wall again. What do you do now that you're at the cloud and you have an application? When they needed to support changing business needs with different applications, same thing, they hit a wall. And it was really when they hit the wall that the enterprises became interested and started to look at their enabling infrastructure for their voice services. So it's been successful, but it was not for the reasons we originally expected when we launched our product. AI and agentic AI is going to take this infrastructure as an afterthought and bring it to the forefront. So if you're taking notes, I would highly recommend you write down a name, Olivia Moore from Andreessen Horowitz. She published what I believe is a fantastic paper earlier this year on AI voice agents. This is an eye chart. You can't read it, you're not supposed to read it. Look up the slideshow, read it through, and think about this industry. Then take a look at some of those logos in a vertical you know, go to their websites, and read what they're doing. And you will then get a sense for how our industry is going to change. These AI voice agents, this is a map of, by vertical, companies that are focusing on transforming specific verticals with AI voice agents. So you'll find a company in there, home services, a company called Drillbit. What it allows home services companies to do is have an AI agent that can accept phone calls, schedule, and work on quotes for contractors. You think about how that can change that vertical. When Brian was talking about hyper-verticalization earlier, these are the kinds of companies that are solving real problems deeply for verticals. Look over in insurance, and you'll find a company that is solely focused on the reception tasks for insurance brokers, automating all those kind of tasks. So you start to realize there's a wave of innovation, a wave of startups. These are startups. These are getting funded out of Silicon Valley. They're companies that you have never heard of, we've never heard of. All due respect to the Cavell Group, they don't even know the Cavell Group exists. They don't know voice exists. When you talk to them, they do not know what an SBC is. Seriously, they do not know what an SBC is. And when an enterprise is telling them they should buy one and integrate with it, they say, no, like, we don't even have voice engineers, we're web developers. It's a completely different world. But there is incredible power in what these companies are doing. So you take away there are a lot of them. You should also take away that this slide is missing all the internal teams that enterprises have that are building on the big LLMs. They're building on Mistral, building on OpenAI, Claude, go through them. There's a lot of internal teams. You could argue that LMs are the great equalizer for the IT teams. So there's a lot of enterprise internal teams that are building on the LLMs. They're going to have their own products for their verticals and their companies. I think you'll get a sense when you start to look at these companies that this is probably the killer app for our industry. It makes you question yourself, what did we really benefit from in the move to the cloud? I think the real benefit is the cloud enabled the productivity that enterprises can be able to get from companies like these. So what's the problem? Well, go back to where we are today. We launched our Maestro product. We're focused on integrating today's UCaaS, CCaaS platforms to integrate all the leaders. It works great because we haven't been doing much with it. Honestly, you've been doing integrations. There's kind of a handful of use cases. There's replacing an IVR with conversational voice, some cloud recording type use cases, some compliance use cases. Pretty limited number of use cases people are actually doing with integration today. Pretty limited number of apps you're integrating. The major UCaaS, CCaaS platforms with their BYOC programs, a few other ones. It's been a pretty small universe, and today's approaches in the industry, they work for that. But the problem is, when you go and try and integrate one of those voice AI agents from the previous slide into today's UCaaS, CCaaS, enterprise ecosystems, it's really hard. And you realize the ecosystem is actually assumed that AI is a winner-take-all proposition. Everybody wants the enterprise to use their AI and nobody else's. So you try and integrate, you find yourself doing all kinds of weird call forwarding, call transfer kind of use cases. And you find that all this innovation that is coming into the industry is effectively locked out by the way that today's voice stacks in the enterprises are structured. So what happens? Does that mean those companies just go away? No. They'll work around it. And so what we've seen is, in these enterprises, these AI voice companies are solving the problem a different way. They'll go and do all the deep integrations in the enterprise. They'll build chat-based text bots, work with messaging applications. They'll get voice-enabled, and they will completely bypass the enterprise's existing voice infrastructure. Completely bypass. If you're in the Silicon Valley and you're trying to build an app like this, what do? You put your credit card down and use a voice API. And guess what? It works. You can build your app, you can get to Series A, Series B, completely bypassing everybody in this room. And they're doing it. They're doing it because it works. Well, it kind of works. It works for the first one. But now think about the enterprise running dozens of AI voice agents, highly specialized agents for all kinds of different roles in the organization. At scale, that actually doesn't work. It's the equivalent of just giving everybody in your contact center a cell phone and saying, good luck. No coordination, just here's a phone number, make calls, receive calls, go for it. It doesn't actually work at scale. And you pretty quickly realize when you talk to an enterprise, and you're helping them integrate their first one, and they're already thinking about their second one that they want to integrate. And then they're talking to their CCaaS vendor and wondering, how is this all going to work together? Where does call recording go when I have multiple agents and CCaaS? Because I used to be able to trust my CCaaS to do all of it. There's a lot of questions where this really falls apart at scale. But today, for the first wave of startups that are just getting traction, for the first wave of voice AI agents that are getting traction in the enterprise, just using a voice API, messaging API is working. But at scale, it's going to fall apart. And so where do we see this going? The industry has a need to integrate well. So I love the call this morning about the need to integrate, but we also need to recognize that our industry is not really ready to accept integration today. I think there's a few things that we have to recognize. First of all, AI should not be viewed as a winner-takes-all proposition. Practically, that's the way it looks today. All the major platforms have AI, and they want to keep everybody in it. New entrants into the space want to bring their AI and want to own and displace everybody else. I personally don't think that that's going to work. I think we need to recognize that there will be many, many AI-powered applications in the enterprise. The speed of innovation, the pace of improvements is too great for a winner-takes-all outcome. Maybe decades down the road, but I think for the next foreseeable future, we need to recognize that there's room and space for many applications to bring value to the enterprise with AI. Also need to recognize the enterprises need us to solve this problem. They can tremendously benefit from the use of AI agents in their businesses. This can drive real business outcomes. When you look at these voice AI agents, they are targeting the labor costs of their businesses. They are trying to get more productivity from each dollar they're spending on labor today, and they can do it. If you spend time with some of those applications, you'll realize and you'll get a sense how real the opportunity is for them. And so there is a tremendous opportunity for us to help our enterprises, to help our end users by solving this problem for them. What we need is a better approach to integration that allows a voice infrastructure that lets today's users, the human employees, and the AI voice agents work together. They shouldn't be separated silos. They shouldn't be doing things in different ways, but we should allow them to work together to enable a better outcome for the enterprise. I don't have all the answers, as you've noticed. I actually have very few answers, but I have a ton of excitement for where this can go, because I believe this can genuinely change the business outcomes for our enterprise customers. That's what we're excited about, and that's the challenge we're tackling. Call to action. If it's a problem that your team is looking to solve, please reach out to us. one where we're looking to engage other companies in the industry to try and solve this on behalf of enterprises who we think can benefit from it. So there you go. Few observations, no answers, but a ton of excitement for the future and where industry's going. Thank you.